Hello, this is David Braun, and welcome to video number 5, Choosing Your Data. What properties to include in your data search in your MLS? Well, traditionally, we have thought about a neighborhood. Now, I have actually marked here 4 subdivisions. This is Subdivision 1, Subdivision 2, Subdivision 3, and Subdivision 4. Now, what we have found is that Subdivision 1 and 2 basically are a neighborhood. So they are a neighborhood, but these are nearby subdivisions. Now, what we're wondering is, traditionally, we have always sought to get our comparables in a neighborhood when possible. And it's been kind of like a voodoo, no, you don't want to get comps anywhere but your neighborhood. Now, looks like the market condition analysis has given us a chance to kind of have a course correction here. And what we mean by that is there are oftentimes in the same subdivision properties that are not competitive with each other. Now, being competitive with each other means that your potential buyers, when they get in the car with the realtor, would they actually drive and look at these other houses and seriously consider to buy them? For one problem we find is some subdivisions range vastly in sales price, like you'll have from $200 to $400. And the truth is, people that can afford a $250,000 house cannot necessarily afford a $400,000. So by definition, those properties are not really competitive. Historically, we've often taken those wider ranges in a neighborhood to stay in a neighborhood. But what we really want to think about now in our market condition analysis, we want to think about a larger and more narrow search. So what we would like to do is search a bigger area, but have our search parameters to be a little bit smaller. So let's think of what the search parameters might be. They might be location. So for example, you may find that you can search from location anywhere in here, and maybe on this street, Sugarwood. Even though that's in another neighborhood, these properties are very competitive nearby, and when the buyers get in the car, they will in fact want to look at some houses on this street. So we're going to expand our area out, and talking about location, many of the new MLSs will let you just hand draw a circle, and it will only search in those areas. Hopefully we can push our MLSs to expand that to be able to circle two areas, but they don't touch. They're not congruous to each other, and it would find all of them in there. So hopefully part of what we're doing is we're setting the stages to tell our MLSs what we do need. Now, so let's go on now and let's think about, besides just location, because we've kind of going to sum up location. We want to search a broader area, a bigger area, but we might want to narrow our search parameters. So what we mean by that, in style, we may want to search for ranchers only, not ranchers and 2 stories. In the age, instead of searching from 0 to 20 years, maybe you want to put 5 to 15 years. In the number of bedrooms, we may want to narrow that down to maybe 3 to 4 bedrooms or 2 to 3 bedrooms. Gross living area, you might have like 1,600 square feet to 2,200 square feet. And if you're in an area that has basements, you might say only houses with basements or only houses without. But basically, keep in mind, the appraiser doesn't decide this. The market decides this. Actually, the buyers decide this. The demand side decides what is competitive for them. If they actually, one buyer would look at ranchers and 2 stories, then they're both okay to have. So let's talk about now, how many sales do you need? How many sales do you need? And let's talk for just a second of the difference between a sample and the entire population. Sometimes we can almost see almost the entire population of properties that have sold or are listed for sale, or properties that have been listed for sale in the past year that are competitive with the subject. In other words, there's a real defined geographical location, and there may only be 40 of them. There may be 60 or 80, or in a big city there might be 200, but for most of us, there's going to be 30 to 40. and we're going to know about a lot of them. We're not going to know about the for sale by owners, the FSBO. So a few of them are going to slip through. So I don't know that there's any set amount you have to have or you don't have to have, because we're trying to deal with a large percentage of the actual population. Now, what data do we need? Well, of course we need the sales and the sale dates. We need active listings, but we also want to know about listings that might have went off the market that were listed in an earlier period. So an example of that would be a withdrawn. With a withdrawn property or an expired property, we can look at when they came on the market, how many days they were on the market, and we know when they went off. So we know exactly what days they were available in what periods. So again, this is kind of a short and concise talk about what data do you want, but think of a little bit broader search, and think about a little bit more narrow search parameters as far as style, age, bedrooms, and these kinds of things. But keep in mind, you don't decide that. The appraiser doesn't decide that. The buyers decide that. So thanks for listening to this video, and we've got, I think, one or two more for you.